The role of the United Nations, illusion or influence. The question of why we attend UN conferences and what the UN has actually accomplished often leads to critical scrutiny. For many, the UN appears to be a Western construct designed to give third-world nations the illusion of participation. Historical and contemporary examples support the argument that the real decision-making power lies elsewhere, and the UN's role is more about maintaining a facade of global cooperation than achieving substantial change. The illusion of representation. The United Nations was founded in 1945 with the aim of promoting international cooperation and preventing future conflicts. However, the structure of the UN, particularly the Security Council, has always favored the interests of the major Western powers. The 5 permanent members of the Security Council, China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, hold veto power, which often renders the General Assembly's decisions ineffective. This structure has led to accusations that the UN is a tool for Western dominance rather than a platform for equal representation. Historical examples. Suez Crisis, 1956. The UN's response to the Suez Crisis highlighted its limitations. The invasion of Egypt by Israel, followed by the UK and France, was met with condemnation from the General Assembly, but decisive action was stymied by the veto power of the involved permanent members. This incident underscored the disparity between the UN's ideals and its actual capabilities. Rwandan Genocide, 1994. During the Rwandan Genocide, the UN's failure to intervene effectively illustrated its impotence. Despite clear evidence of mass atrocities, the Security Council could not muster the political will to act decisively, partly due to the reluctance of Western powers to commit resources. The psychological role. For many third-world nations, the UN acts more like a psychological reassurance than a real platform for change. It provides a stage for smaller nations to voice their concerns and feel a part of the global dialogue, even if the outcomes rarely align with their interests. Examples of marginalization. Palestinian-Israeli conflict. The UN has passed numerous resolutions regarding the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, often condemning Israeli actions. However, substantial action has been blocked by the United States veto power, demonstrating the limits of the UN's influence when major powers' interests are at stake. Economic sanctions. Countries like Cuba and North Korea have faced extensive economic sanctions, often driven by U.S. policies. While the UN imposes some of these sanctions, the broader international economic measures highlight how global decisions can reflect the priorities of powerful nations rather than a consensus of the international community. British influence and global conflicts. A recurring theme in global conflicts is the historical influence of the British Empire. The legacy of British colonialism has left a trail of contested borders and ethnic divisions, serving as long-term sources of instability. Examples of British legacy. Middle East. The borders of many Middle Eastern countries were drawn by the British and French under the Sykes-Picot Agreement, 1916. These arbitrary boundaries ignored ethnic and religious divisions, leading to prolonged conflicts, such as the ongoing strife in Iraq and Syria. Africa. In Africa, British colonial policies sowed the seeds of numerous conflicts. The arbitrary drawing of borders and the favoring of certain ethnic groups over others during colonial rule have contributed to post-independence conflicts, such as those in Nigeria and Sudan. The concept of the deep state. The idea of a deep state in the U.S. suggests a network of powerful organizations and individuals who operate behind the scenes to influence policy. This network is often thought to include the CIA, FBI, and various secret societies. However, a deeper layer, termed the deeper deep state, is believed to exist, controlling these organizations from behind the scenes. Influence of the deeper deep state. Military-industrial complex. President Dwight D. Eisenhower warned of the military-industrial complex's growing influence. This alliance between military leaders and industrialists ensures that defense policies and budgets favor continued military engagement, often overriding democratic processes. Financial oligarchy. The influence of powerful financial families, such as the Rockefellers, has been cited as an example of deeper state control. Their impact on international finance and politics suggests that decisions made in public forums like the UN may be preempted by these behind-the-scenes players. Conclusion. The United Nations, while a symbol of global cooperation, often serves more as an illusion of equality and participation for third-world nations. Historical precedents and structural biases within the UN reveal its limitations in effectuating real change against the interests of major powers. The lingering influence of former colonial powers, particularly the British, continues to shape global conflicts. Additionally, the concept of a deep state further complicates the narrative, suggesting that true power lies beyond public institutions. For a more equitable global order, these underlying power dynamics must be acknowledged and addressed.